What are you seeing, I guess, Libby, an education perspective or a school perspective? Like, are you seeing where you need to be able to provide laptops, you need to provide equipment outside of the broadband, right? Because the broadband's the infrastructure, right? It's the enabler. You need the devices, or, is that an issue? Or even Brian Worthen, like, are you seeing from a service provider perspective, people saying, hey, I need help. I need devices on top of the broadband?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we ended up providing devices to all of our students and families, really just to ensure that our kids are using the same technology. Because when you think about, even middle school and high school age children who have not yet worked in a remote space, they're learning all sorts of different tools and platforms that they've never used before. And so, being able to work from the same device has just been critical in terms of building up routines and procedures for students. And, I think in terms of younger students, which I don't work with, but, clearly our youngest students in our city have had the hardest time with remote learning, because as you can imagine, I have a kindergarten age daughter, and engaging with remote learning in kindergarten, it looks much different than even a 6th or 7th grader. And so yeah, there's just, I think, lots of layers to the inequities and the challenges of remote learning that, we've really been learning about as we go.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. And I also think about what Brian Hollister said about the age of kids and how to help them. As a provider, we are expected to support a number of devices in the home. And we're actually seeing an uptick in people that lease our managed modem or managed router, because we actually help people with their devices. But that's the key, is the usability of devices, because how do you walk a 3rd grader through uploading their information to the cloud? Or how do you walk a parent through how to get an iPad working, or Zoom on an iPad, or the Google Hangouts or Google Meet, right? The technology is almost overwhelming because there's too many options. And I think what's interesting as a provider, and what we've seen, is there's a certain portion of the population that's really tried to solve their broadband problem by using Wi-Fi on their cellular devices. And so coming into the COVID environment and this pandemic, there's a group of students that were solely relying on a Wi-Fi hotspot. Well, what happens when you try to Zoom over that, which requires a certain amount of upload, and that's a huge issue. And if they're on an unlimited plan, they're being throttled. But conversely, as Libby said, that's the easiest thing to deploy. So you can go out and buy a bunch of hotspots and set those up and easily deploy that, versus having the pain of ordering broadband through a provider like myself and getting on a schedule and meeting a technician. And so it's about speed. It's about usability. It's the difference between, like 10 years ago, what people would have said, hey, there's a Mac environment and there's a PC environment, and one's a little easier. I don't know if there's any easy solution for students right now. And in a classroom environment, teachers have a controlled environment. Everybody's on a similar device. They've already planned it out. They've already they've already poked holes in it, and they have someone at the school district to support them. When that all moves home, it's the responsibility of the teachers and the student, and it's a big responsibility. And all those things rolled up in one is the education problem for broadband.
Well, it's the students, it's the teachers, and the parents, right? I mean, I can't tell you all the new things I've had to learn that are very specific to how the school wants, their standards implemented, right? For uploading coursework, this, that, next thing. And guess what? It's not a lot of the things that we utilize today. I mean, about the only common thing is the Zoom platform, right? So there's been a lot of learning on our side. So I think there's heightened anxiety across the board with just learning so many new things at one time.
Well, and I think knowing that, at the core of our mission is serving every single student, and you have some students whose parents are with them all day long and able to support them with not only technology, but their coursework. And you have other students who are potentially, babysitting or taking care of younger siblings. And so just being able to support the needs of students from their home environment has been increasingly complex as well.
And what do you do when you're on a technology that doesn't have enough upload for the whole house? Mm-hmm. So there's someone earning an income in the home, and then there's a student. What takes priority? If you're on a DSL platform and it only has 3 meg upload, and there's 3 people wanting to make be on a Zoom Zoom call or participate in a classroom or participate in work, who goes first?
It's a great point. And it also, I mean, it goes back to I guess, a little bit of the inequities, right? Like if somebody has, if you're having to do work from home versus you're not having to work, and you can spend the time helping your student, or your child, but at the same time, like, if you have to do both, what suffers, right? And how do you actually learn that?